any 7.62 by 39
I wouldn't.
AR. So, so I opted to swap the barrel out, put a 6.5 inch. I got one more length, which I liked.
All of mine, I run 5.56 on everything. I don't
Yeah.
have crazy caliber differences. My rifles, I want all the mags to work and all the ammo to work and all the rifles, so I stick with one. So.
Yeah, and I mean, pick up a couple of yours here. I mean, you can.
Well, yeah, this is a Spikes Tactical
Pistol.
Pistol. This is a pistol.
Yep.
So it's got an aim point on it, the Steiner D-ball ish, and then a Surefire Light with a dual switch. This is kind of a truck gun. This is the one that sort of stays in my truck, runs around with me all the time. You guys have seen the old AA rifle, so that's this one here. Made by CK Arms out of Camilla, Georgia. So this thing, $950 for these guys. Asking about affordable rifles. This is not a off-the-shelf gun. This is essentially a custom rifle. Drop-in adjustable triggers, anti-drift pins, the barrels, even the brake. This brake is custom made by CK Arms. Yeah. And I have a Shepherd optic on here, which is a nice piece of glass. And then lastly, I brought this one just because we didn't have one to represent a piston gun. So this is a LWRC M6 IC. So this is a piston-driven, not a direct impingement AR with an ACOG on it. I'll say this is one of my favorite rifles to shoot because it is so accurate.
Yeah.
The one thing I hate about this rifle, though, see if they can pick it up, is that.
Yeah, a lot of this has to do with the tines.
It's the tines.
Yeah, at the front.
It's the tines doing it, but also has adjustable gas block on this one. But I hate that damn ring. I know I could change that out and then go away, but it just drives me crazy. But as far as an accuracy, these two, this one's extremely accurate, and this one here I've shot, like I was telling you earlier, 700 yards with the ACOG, hitting steel all day long with this one. So this is a great rifle. And
and one of the reasons, or one of the main reasons the AR platform is so popular is because it's so versatile.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Lego for grown men.
That's really what
build
it is.
anything you want with this thing.
Way to go, Lego, not Barbie. Good job.
Well, I wouldn't have went to Barbie.
Well, you can accessorize. No?
No.
No?
No.
Dang it.
A Rector set, I'd have said Lego. I wouldn't have
what
said
about
Barbie.
Connects?
Connects, all right, those work too.
Yeah?
I'm still not going Barbie.
No?
I'll let you have it.
All right.
So,
all right.
He's got Barbie guns.
So, and that's what I mean. I mean, we can go a 5.5 inch or a 6 inch, AR, and then you can go something that, this is what I use or will be using moving forward for some PRS stuff. So I mean, this is just a 16 inch because of the class that I'm going to run in. That's what you have to run it in. But this has a sequence stock on it, and it just makes it really nice for setting your comb height and everything to make it really nice and adjustable. It's got a loophole scope on it, and it's just a fantastic gun. So and it's one of those things where Chris and I have different rifles. For different reasons
stuff.
And different objectives, I will say. And it's one of those things where if you guys have any questions with regards to, hey, I'm thinking about getting this or that, but I don't know really where to get started, feel free to leave them in the comments, and we'll try to help steer you in the right direction as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, I look at this as this is one of my working rifle pistols. I'm going to say rifle a lot. You're going to hear me say it, but this one lives in my truck. I've tricked it out with making it quick and easy to get stuff on and off of it. I can take the D-ball off. It's got a QD. This is on a QD. This is also a return to zero. Yeah. So when I snap this thing back on here, whoops, I know it's going to stay. I screwed it up when I did that. Of course, it's going to mess up on me now. Get back on there. There it goes.
There you go.
Come on. There. So now it returns to zero. My fault on that. When you snap this thing in, and this is a kinetic QD right here, when you push this thing in, it locks so that they're locked open. You can take it off, and when you put it back on, you're supposed to just snap it on, and it'll secure itself. But this weapon fell out of my mule one day on the back coming back from the range, and it landed on that, on something. I don't know what it was, but it bent it into the rail.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, remember when I brought it in? Yeah. But it still holds zero. It still works fine. Yeah. So this thing's rock solid. It don't move at all. And this one has the IR laser because I've got PVS-14 that I can throw on a helmet. Yeah. I'll shoot armadillos around the house with this, stuff like that, running that kind of fun. And then for distance, depending on what I'm doing. For longer distances, I like this one. I really love that LWRC though too with that ACOG. It's just so much fun to shoot.
So, all right, Trucker has a question here. Best rail lights, switch or squeeze? So we have, let's see, we don't
Mine
have
are squeeze.
Okay, Streamlight makes a really good light that is really affordable. I prefer Surefire weapon lights on my weapons. We have two different options here, so and we'll kind of show you here. So with this little guy right here, you know, I'm 6'5", I got long arms, so this isn't much real estate for me, being that it's only a 5-inch handrail. So what I opted for was to put a Surefire X300 Ultra on this, and this is still a 1,000 lumen light that pretty much has the same exact head as what these do. It's just a different battery configuration. But I just use this with the regular thumb switches like you would on a pistol. And when I hold this gun, it's pretty much where my thumb sits. So it was easier for me to put this light on there than like a regular like dual fuel scout light, something like that on the side, and then run a pressure switch to it. And the other thing too is this gun it's so small, it's so perfect that I use it as a thumb stop also on the top here. So that's kind of why I run this light here. But then on most of my other rifles, you know, like this one here, Chris runs his.
Yeah, I got it.
So once again, with Chris's D-ball on the top, he starts to run out of real estate as well.
Yep.
You know, I run mine right on the top here, because then it's ambi. So if I was to switch shoulders and pick up this rifle this way, I can still activate the thumb switch just as easy. So it doesn't matter, you know, which way I'm going. I can still activate the light. Chris has his on the side.
Well, it's still ambi. You know, even if I switch, if I switch sides,
you just got to reach under.
You just got to remember what you're doing. So.
But once again, that's just because, you know, he was starting to run out of real estate.
Yeah, this is a short pistol barrel. So.
And so I like Surefires. Chris is running Surefires also.
Yep.
Now Chris is running a Unity Tactical Taps switch.
Yep.
Because he's activating his lasers. Yep. And his light off of the two switches.
Yeah, so they're right here combined together. One's the light,
yeah,
and the other one's the laser if you've got it turned on.
Yeah. So. On mine, I'm just running a regular single port Surefire switch, and then the B.E. Myers Mall laser that I have on the front of mine has its own activation switch, so I can just slide my thumb up a little bit and activate it that way.
9mm.
You want to take the next one?
Yeah, what do you think about 9mm AR pistols? I love them. I got a great one at home that I bought and brought home. My wife saw it, and now she owns it.
Yeah.
But I think it's fantastic. You built that thing.
I did.
It's a fantastic option, especially for my wife. The 9mm is low recoil. The thing packs down. It's about that long. Yeah. It's a pistol, not a rifle, but it is a pistol. But it has the Maxim?
Yeah,
it's got a Maxim.
The PDW.
PDW stock on it. But the cool thing about it is it fits inside a tennis racket case. Mm-hmm. So we put it in a tennis racket case, and I have a bandolier made that'll hold 4 30-round Glock mags, and you can throw that in a tennis racket case with it, zip it up. Mm-hmm. You can keep that in your vehicle. In Florida, anyway, that is perfectly legal. So she can just keep it in the car, and it's there with her all the time. You know, I like the 9mm, the pistol caliber carbines. I think they're a lot of fun to shoot.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to shoot. They're a fantastic training option to practice with, to get people. If you have a smaller statue person in your family, a wife, girlfriend, just a young kid,
young person,
you know, the recoil is a little bit less than, you know, a regular AR. I like the fact that, now I will say, well, Chris knows, most of you guys know, I'm not a Glock fan really at all.
He's not.
I'm not, but if you're going to buy an AR in 9mm,
get Glock mags.
Get one that is compatible with Glock mags. I tell people that all the time. They're easier to find. You can get 33-round sticks. They're reliable. They're repeatable. They're durable. You know, you start getting into there's other ones that'll take like Beretta mags, or you know, it just becomes difficult. And if there is ever a panic buy, Glock mags are more plentiful than
the other brands.
The other brands.
And two, like the one we have, the PCC we have, it'll take a Glock 19 mag.
Yep.
So anything from a 19 up, it'll take it, which is nice to have, especially if you're running a Glock handgun. Yep. You have that as well. Now you just got continuity of magazines. Yeah. Yep. So less stuff to switch up.
RB wants to know any info on the status of Ascent Armory. I noticed they have streamlined their SKUs to only 70-75 products, yet still no inventory. I don't know much about them.
I'm not sure who they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to pass on that one. Keith wants to know, what are your thoughts on 80% lowers? Keith, if you go back, oh man, that's probably like 4 or 5 months ago. We did a whole video on how to, like the mill and a jig and everything on how to make an 80% lower. They work as long as you take your time. It's a touchy topic.
It's a touchy topic.
I will
you got to remember, if you take an 80% lower and you finish that thing out and you build it, you cannot transfer that thing.
Yeah, and there's things
you
where
you got to keep it forever.
The precision, if you're using like a drill for the takedown, the pins, the trigger pins, takedown pins, things like that, there's going to be a little bit of play in there. I mean, even if you have a nice drill press, I had a really nice drill press, and there's still, you just can't get
as precise
as needed. Yeah. They're either too tight or a little too big, so you're going to have a little bit of slop in it. And once again, you're using a rotary tool.
Right.
Okay. We're not using like a CNC mill here to get precise, cuttings and stuff in it. So there are some play issues. Now, I've built a couple. They all ran fine. I never had an issue with it. But it's one of those things where you got to keep an eye on some things. Now, as far as a prepper mindset goes, I think a couple of 80% lowers are a fantastic thing to have around just in case something were to happen. You have every right to own them. You have every right to shoot yours. You can do whatever you want with it. Build them out. Save them for a rainy day if that's what you want to do. There's some good quality ones out there. There's some that you can get them forged. You can get billet ones. Yep. The forged ones are much easier to actually mill out. The metal's just a little bit softer. Yep. The billet ones, you really got to take your time because you got to, once again, using that rotor, you got to go like minute depths. Yeah. And you got to realize you're hogging out like this much material. Yeah. For the trigger assembly and everything, and you are going like at minute, so it can get very monotonous. You get impatient guys like me
who breaks tools.
We don't do well. Yeah. So, but I like them.
I mean, they're a neat idea to me. I don't fool with them. It's my opinion that if we have to worry about the government knowing we have guns, then we have a problem. Yeah. It's that whole idea of when it's time to bury your guns and hide them, it's when it's time to dig your guns up and use them. So I don't give a crap. I bought 10 lowers right after the Parkland school shooting just because I thought things might go south, and so I bought 10 lowers. They're all serial numbered. I don't care. Yeah, I got them put away, so I can build 10 rifles.
Nicholas wants to know, do you guys run any mag extensions on your ARs?
No.
I have a couple of like Terran Tactical magazine extensions, some like +5s, +8s. I don't know, Ali will correct me if I'm wrong. They work really well.
That thing instead.
Yeah, I mean, but what I mostly run, so I run a 20 round mag. I know people are gonna be like, oh, 20 round. I run these in my short guns that I keep in bags. It just makes it a lot easier to get them in and out really quickly. 30 round mags, Lancer.
Lancers are
P mags. If you like metal stuff.
And the big difference between Lancer and PMags, if you guys have never seen Lancers, they have metal feed lips.
Yeah.
I've had a little bit of trouble with some PMags being left in the bed of my truck and having this actually start to spread out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be a big fan of the Lancer with the metal lips. Still, it's a plastic mag, just like the PMags are, but that part's metal and it just holds together better in my opinion.
If you're a metal only kind of mag guy, C Products makes some pretty good ones. Surefeed makes some good ones. We carry both of them at Big Daddy Unlimited. And then, I mean, 60 rounds.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
And the D60, the Magpul D60s, I've really never had a single malfunction. I've never seen one. I mean, I've even been with a couple guys in classes that ran them.
Yeah.
Never had any issues with them. You know, your thumb will get tired loading them with working the spring, but they work really well. You know, I know a lot of like competition shooters run extended mags and things like that, and you know, I've never had any issues with Terran tactical ones. So.
I mean, I don't even load 30-round mags to 30 rounds myself.
28.
28, yeah. So, you know, I guess if you want a little extra room, get one of those.
Yeah. All right, next question here. Are there any products on the market for an AR-15 that are potentially dangerous?
Probably lots of them.
I don't know about potentially dangerous. There's a lot of inexpensive products that can cause a lot of issues.
Lower quality.
You know, yeah, lower quality. I mean, but I would say the most dangerous thing is it usually comes to ammunition.
Yep.
I hear a lot of guys like, man, I found a really good deal at the gun show, you know, and it's in Ziploc bags. If you have no clue what the pressures are and stuff in it, you know, double charges are so easy to happen. You know, if somebody's just hand loading ammunition, you know, if you're going to use a reloaded ammo, make sure it's a reputable company. You know, and listen, I shoot a ton of remanufactured ammo, so do you, from like fancy brass ammo. But Blue and the guys over there make uber high quality ammo.
Except for when he puts a bullet in backwards, Blue. I'm never going to forget that one time you did it.
But they do it, and they do it at a fantastic price.
And it's great ammo.
But that would be the only, you know, thing I would consider dangerous is watch what kind of ammo you put into your rifles, because a double charged AR rifle will go bang, and I don't mean bang out the barrel, I mean bang out the upper.
Yeah, and two, having people lay in 300 blackouts and 5.56s on the same table when they're all out in the range shooting, that's where you can end up with real problems as well. So paying attention. Probably the most dangerous thing when it comes to these rifles is the operators.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Next question here is there any trick to changing the batteries on a Streamlight with a tape switch attached? I'm trying to remember. I honestly, I think you can take the head. I think you can take the head off, the actual light end of it. And I think the batteries go both ways.
Aren't they stacked in there side by side though?
No, I think he's talking about
Depends on which Streamlight he went.
Yeah.
TLR1s or, well, that might have a tape switch there.
Ask us which one, but I think a tape switch, try taking the head off. I think they go out the front end also.
Anything on AR-10s?
All right, we are going to do another live video on AR-10s and just larger caliber rifles, 6.5 Creedmoors, M1 Garands, 30-30, things like that. So we will be doing another one on AR-10s. So yeah, we'll come around to that one.
Tucker's asking, which is better, 9mm pistol caliber Glock or MP5?
I love me some MP5s. The biggest difference you're going to find between those two, the reliability is going to be pretty much the same. The biggest difference is most MP5 mags are going to run you about $40 to $60 a piece. So that can get expensive really fast. But listen, I love like a quarter circle 10 AR lower with the MP5, you know, mag well on it. Oh, they look super cool.
They look cool,
but for me, I would stick with Glock mags because they work in other things.
Yep.
MP5 mags only work in pretty much MP5s. You want to take the next one?
It says, yeah, I wanted a reliable AR-10 and AR-15 that I was going to buy once and buy right. What are my top 3 choices? I'm going to leave this to you because you're working in the gun business.
Okay.
Top 3.
Top 3. My top 3, I would say I'm going to start at the top. It's going to be a little bit expensive, but Radian Rifles, Radian Weapons makes a phenomenal AR-15 that you cannot go wrong with. They're known for, you know, their Raptor charging handles, which is like an industry-wide, more OEM companies use their charging handles than anybody else. Their Talon selector switch has fantastic triggers, match grade barrels. You just cannot go wrong with them. Pretty much you buy a Radian rifle, put an optic, a sling, and a light on it, and you are good to go. Yep. So I love Radian Rifles. My second guess, I like a lot of Maxim Defense's stuff. I'm going to throw that out there. I mean, this is the PDX, but they also make some full-size versions. Maxim Defense makes some fantastic stuff. Third option. Oh, man.
like LWRC, but they make.
No, I do like LWRC.
These guys they make both good.
If you're looking for a piston gun, LWRC or PWS will also make a fantastic AR10 or AR15.
For the AR10, LWRC's got the new side charging AR10,
and they're sexy.
Thing is badass.
As far as another AR10 option, F4 Defense with their small frame. I don't have one here today, but F4 Defense SF10, it stands for small frame 10. It's pretty much the same size receiver as an AR15. They've just taken all of the extra bulk out of the back of the lower and shortened it, so you can get just a lighter, more compact AR10, and it still feeds 308s. Like that's what my other hog gun is. It's an AR10, but it only weighs like 7 pounds. Or
for a good AR15, you can always buy
there you go.
American rifle made by CK Arms out of Camilla, Georgia.
So, and those are available at Big Daddy Unlimited.
And they're a damn good rifle.
Another
question: is there any trick to changing batteries on the stream like
ProTac? Yeah. I think the front end comes off. That'd be my only guess. Either that or unplug it, and then you're just dealing with it. All right, what would you say? What would you say is your do-it-all barrel length for an AR-15? This is that tricky topic because it's one of those things where I think a 14 and a half, 13 7s are starting to catch a little bit more traction, but I think a 14 and a half with a pen and welded muzzle brake on it or flash hider, whichever way you want to go, so it equals a 16-inch barrel, is a fantastic option. Like that's what this gun is here. So it's an inch and a half, pretty much shorter than regular 16-inch. A 10.5, a good 10.5 gun will be able to reach out to 300-400 yards, really depending on what optic you have on there. But it's going to reach out to that. It's such a hard question
because there is no one size fits all. I mean, it depends on what you're doing. It really does.
There's things where I would always like to have this rifle set up because I know I can do a lot of things at a lot of range. But also, it's like, hey.
But if I'm in a vehicle,
right, and
I want something small.
And that's why I have.
Yeah. And I've got one smaller than this too.
Yeah, and that's why I have my Maximum Defense here. This is easy. This is portable. But I would say a 14.5.
But if I'm going to be shooting distance, I want a longer barrel with a better optic. Yeah. This one goes up to 6 power. Like you said, this one here goes up to 18. So that's definitely longer range. But but this also goes down to a true.
If I was to pick just if I could only have one rifle, it'd probably be a 14.5 inch with a low-powered variable optic on it, like a 1:6, 1:8, and a light and a sling. So
a light and a.
And let's talk about that real quick. There are 3 things that you should have on your rifle.
Yep.
It should have an optic on it
Yep.
to increase positive identification of a target, a threat. It should have a light on it because a rifle without a light is missing half the day.
Yep.
And then the third thing is it should have a sling on it.
Yep.
It should have those 3 things. Now, past that, bipods can help, not necessary. IR laser light can help if you have night vision equipment going forward. But those 3 things are must-haves.
And I even go with that on pistols. If you're carrying a pistol for self-defense, it should have a light on it too.
Yes.
Because again, you will find yourself in the dark, and you'll need the light. So, Trucker's asking, do you use straight or off-center iron sights? All of mine are straight because everything I have is QD, and I can rip it off the top of the rail and put up irons if I need them.
Yeah, so
you don't even run irons on.
I don't run irons on most. I either run an offset. RMR red dot, or like in this setup, if for some reason, the aim point were to fail on this, I still have a visible green laser that I can still do work even in the daytime. So, but I like offset. Most of the time, I'm usually running a low-powered variable optic, like on this. So with an offset, if I was cranked up, this is a 2.5 to 10 from Night Force. So if I was at 10 power on this, I could still just rotate the gun really quickly and get into a red dot. So that's why I like them offset.
Yeah, this is the 1-8 or 1-6, but it's on a QD. This is a 0 delta, so it's a return to 0 as well. Solid return to 0. So I can take that thing off super fast, and I can be running irons if I need to. But the only reason I would do that is if something catastrophic happened to this optic, because it does go down to 1. So the odds of needing to do this are pretty slim. Whoops.
You guys love your your 9mm ARs here. Lee wants to know what's the best 9mm AR. I think for a little bit more on the pricey side, but I think Quarter Circle 10 makes fantastic 9mm AR lowers. CMMG, their Banshee, also is really, really nice. So I would look at those two. How long do you keep your AR mags loaded before you rest the spring?
I think that's a myth, personally.
Yeah, so let's break this down real quick.
Talk about the science of springs.
Yeah. Loading a mag and leaving it loaded is really never going to cause any issues with the springs. Usually when you start to get issues with the springs, when they start to get weak, that's when you start to have failures to feed and things like that. It's usually because a mag has been used over and over, loaded and unloaded, loaded and unloaded. And that spring has been compressed and expanded and compressed and expanded.
Exactly.
Like you'll notice pistol mags, rifle mags, dude, you can take a brand new one out of the package and you're like, on that last round. And then you go shoot it about 10 times and you're like, pops right in. But what you'll start to see is they'll get more and more play. That spring will start to compress. And what it'll do, it's just like a pillow, all right? It starts to lose some of its loft. But I've had mags that I've had loaded for over 5 years. Yeah. And I've never had an issue with them.
It's not how long do they stay compressed, like he says, the number of times it's cycled.
Yeah.
That's what wears a spring out.
And
any spring, not just mag springs.
I just grabbed a couple of mags. Your mag should be numbered, labeled with your name and a number on it. And here's how you fix a mag that causes you an issue. You pull out a hammer and you break it. Because that mag, as soon as it starts causing you an issue, will do nothing but cause you issues the rest of your life. So just chuck it away. Either throw it away or break it and get new mags. You know, they're affordable, and the headaches that they're going to cause you, because you are, especially if you're talking about something that like, I could be defending my life with this.
Yeah.
So, you know, if those are in your rotation, don't. Like I've seen one guy wrote malfunction on the side of his mag. Malfunction.
He just knew it was a bad one.
Knew it was
that
a bad
way when
one,
I put it in, I know I'm gonna have trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just like, throw it away.
Yeah.
Just throw it in the dumpster.
$8 or $9. If it's a PMag, you know, these things are $10.
$10.
You know, I mean, it's a $10 bill. Sounds like a lot, but how many times have you used it? You know?
I mean, and you know, and that brings up another magazine-related issue. Guys, in the prepping community, we hear the question a million times: how many rounds of ammo should I have? We never talk about how many mags should I have.
Yeah, that's
ever.
True.
You know.
Well, in our last article in the Insider, where we asked how much ammo is enough, I talked about mags and web gear, which is a whole other thing. Yeah. Everybody likes to talk about the rifles. Now we're talking about mags, but having the web gear to run these weapons, these platforms, is a whole other subject that we should.
But yeah, you should definitely have enough mags to fill all of your kit, to fill all of your guns, and you should have, I would say, at least a dozen or so more. Because if something were to happen, these usually find their way on the ground. You can't always retain mags, and the last thing you want to do is realize you might have just won a fight, but now you only have 2 mags left for the next fight. Yeah. So magazines are extremely important.
I like to have 10 for every rifle. That's my number. For every rifle, 10. As long as I've got at least that many, I know I'm good. And I have a hell of a lot more than that. Yeah. I've got a case of 100 right now.
All right, what is your best home defense setup for an AR-15?
Red dot and a light. This one right here.
So yeah.
Get rid of the laser if you don't want it, but even that I'd keep on.
Yeah, I mean this is literally the gun that sits by my bed.
Yeah, this is
mine. A red dot on top and a bright light. And you know, and I think
it's short.
And I think it's one of those things too.
Clear in the hallway.
I think one of those things too. It's probably a little bit shorter of a rifle. You're talking very small distances. You know, but a home defense rifle, I think a lot of people tried to classify too many, like I need a home defense rifle, I need a bag gun rifle, I need an outside rifle, I need a truck gun, I need
a long range rifle, I need
a 10.5 or a 14.5, something like that. Will fill all those gaps, all those responsibilities, and do them very, very well. So I would say a 10.5, just make it a little bit shorter. I mean, I've thought about putting this thing into service just because it's even smaller. It's easy to even control with one hand if I had to grab my little kid or something. Yep. You know, and that's the difference going in and out of doorways, clearing hallways, things like that. It is so much easier to just dip this thing and get through a doorway and get right back into it
than trying
to run that. Yeah. So. Andrew wants to know here, we'll keep going on questions. So if you guys have any questions or comments with regards to AR-15s, make sure you leave them below. Give us your thoughts on a good first budget-friendly buy for those who want to keep the cost down. We talked about this a little bit earlier. You can go with something, you know, Anderson does make some good uppers, lowers, and complete rifles. I said Radical Arms earlier has made some really fantastic stuff. Armor Light. Palmetto State.
I was going to say, if you want to keep the price down, Palmetto State's hard to beat.
Palmetto State,
Spikes. A lot of people bitch about him. Well, Spikes, he's not really in the...
They got some forged stuff that it's not badly priced.
He's climbing out of the lower end of things into some of the nicer stuff. Yeah. And he's getting ready to start doing Gucci Glocks too now. He's getting into that market as well. So finding a cheap Spikes is actually getting kind of hard to do. So
yeah, Wyndham Weaponry would be another one that you could go, and those are all reputable companies.
Old school Bushmaster.
That I would throw out there. Ruger, you could go with a Smith & Wesson M&P 15.
I wouldn't.
And we pretty much sell all of those at Big Daddy Unlimited. I mean, you can go with a Springfield Saint. The list kind of goes on and on.
Springfield.
Yeah, and all those that I just said, they all have something within like $550 to $800 range. Yeah. So everybody then you just got to kind of pick your options. What kind of rail are you getting on it? What kind of furniture does it have on it? Because that can make a difference. You know, you can get a very inexpensive A2 stock with a mill style grip and a A2 flash, real basic, or you could get the same exact rifle with Magpul furniture and a decent brake on it, and it costs another $125. So it just kind of depends on what you want to go with. Andrew wants to know what twist weight do you think is the best? I pretty much usually stick in the 1 to 7 range.
Yeah, because this is best for 55 grain. If you're going to go heavier, you got to change. Yeah, you need to change the twist. But.
And if you got any more questions yesterday, if you go to the Big Daddy Unlimited Facebook or YouTube channel, I did a video with Gabe from Roscoe, a great buddy of mine. Roscoe Barrels makes thousands of barrels a day pretty much. And we talked about if you have ever a question about a barrel, twist rate, length, pressures, gas systems, go check out that video also because it has so much information baked right in there, and there's a bunch of other goodness in there too. Yeah. What do you think of a 5-inch barrel on a 5.56 AR? So this gun actually started life as a 5.5-inch 5.56 barrel from Maximum Defense. This is I modified the back of it. I put a SBR lower that I had, but they make a gun very similar to this. That's a 5.5-inch. Those 5.5-inch 5.56s are made for a very, very, very specific reason. It is for working vehicles and very short range stuff. Listen, will it hit a piece of steel at 100 or 200 yards? Yes. It's not going to have very much velocity left. It's not going to be extremely accurate, but it has done it because I did it with mine. But they are made for a very specific reason. They are made for undercover work. They are made for security work. They are made for
vehicles is a big thing.
People that work in vehicles. This gun from Maximum Defense was made for some tank units because these guys were in the back of tanks and they're like, here's a 16-inch AR.
You got to try to.
And these guys were trying to like get in and out and duck and dip and dive and dodge. So they made this for tankers. They could put a 2-point sling on it, cinch it real tight. It would pretty much be the space, and that's what they measured. Yep. Just if you guys are wondering, they measured this space on a normal dude, and that's what this came from. So they could put it really tight. They could have their arms free to do whatever they needed to. If they needed to get out of the vehicle really quick, an APC or a tank or something, it was right there, and they could just run out. So these were made for a very specific reason. Now with that, I like a 300 blackout when you get sub 8 inches. Sub 8 inches on A 5.56, it really starts to mess. You really got to work on your bullets and things like that to really find a gun that works. So,
Jay, what do you think of primary arms 1 to 8? We talked about primary arms earlier. Highly recommend those guys.
I love them.
Great glass.
Yeah, we sell a ton of them. Their normal line has really great glass for the budget.
Yeah, they're considered like budget end, but they make a very, very good optic.
Yeah, and then their platinum series is extremely good glass. You know, it's one of those things where they are thought of as like, oh, more of the budget end crown, but you get into their platinum series glass, I think it rivals things like Vortex and Trijicon and Leupold. They make fantastic optics, and I really like their ACSS reticle and a lot of things too. So, next question here: opinions on a 6.5 millimeter. So this is a 6.5 Grendel right here, and 6.5 Grendel is an extremely interesting round. So what I shoot out of this is like Hornady 123 grain HSTs. It's an extremely flat shooting. It's a lot of feet per second. I think that it's a very, very good round. And what I think we're starting to enter into the age of the 5.56 round has been around now for 70 years, 60, 70 years. Yeah. There are new cartridges that I think are better. I think now they're not as popular, they're not as plentiful, they don't have the track record yet, but they're starting to get there. Yeah. I think a 300 Blackout is becoming more popular because of the versatility of going subsonic or supersonic, which a subsonic 5.56 round is pretty much a bolt gun. You can just never make them work. So 300 Blackout has a ton of versatility. A 6.5 Grendel, man, it's a hard hitting round. It's easily a 1,200, 1,300 yard round also. I mean, extremely high flying round out of an AR-15 platform. And I think that's where you're starting to see the military. I think the military, this is my personal opinion, John Faulkner personal opinion, the military has broken the barrier of 5.56 and 308. Yep. They're now commissioning a lot of stuff for larger frames in 6.5 Creedmoor, some new 6.8 rounds that are coming out from SIG and stuff like that. So they're starting to have an evolutionary change where they're looking at their abilities with the current platforms and saying, how can we get, and what they're looking for is, I can't remember the exact phrase, it's effective combat range.
Right, they're looking for more power on the terminal end is what they want.
They want to be further away.
Yes.
So you look at your enemy and it's like, they can hit me from 300 yards. I want to hit them from 350. Yeah. And you keep that distance. But what's happened is we're not fighting commies with iron sight AKs anymore. Yeah. They're now getting more sophisticated, so now we're trying to expand that gap again. And I think that's why they're looking at a bunch of different rounds. But the 6.5 Grendel round, I love it. I also got a new gun that's getting built for me right now. It is an AR platform in 6mm Creedmoor, which is a larger frame, but I'm going to use that for some coyote hunts that I have coming out. So I like the 6.5 Creedmoor, and I like the 6.5 Grendel. So
next one's all you. I'm going to let you answer that.
Would you buy a Banshee in 5.7 or an FNP 90 for a trucker bag gun? I like the Banshee. I've shot it quite a bit.
I have no experience.
They function really well. The 5.7 round, that's another round that is a funky round. It will do some damage. For the most part, it's a armor-piercing round. It'll go through most body armor. I mean, it's a frickin' ballistic bullet when it comes out of a gun. You know, I like the compactness of a P90. The form function of it is a little weird. It's kind of like a bullpup. Yeah. Since I have a big wingspan, bullpups become very, very small, very, very tiny. The P90 always felt kind of cramped for me, and I'm more comfortable with an AR style platform. So if you were kind of between the two and asking me which one, I would say the Banshee just because it's more AR in feeling. But you know, it's one of those things where both of them work really well. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say the Banshee. So All right, let's see here. Next question. There's quite a bit of buzz about the new Geisley Super Duty ARs. Any plan to stock those or ETAs on timing? We are, I think, expecting some of them soon. They have been a very hard item to get, and I think they're going to do very, very well. So leave it at that. Harold wants to know, P-mags or metal mags? Potato.
Yeah, I mean, I like the combination of the Lancers with the metal feed lips on a plastic mag, personally. One of the big reasons I like these is if you've got a sack full of these in a dump sack that are empty, dump pouch, they don't sound like you're running around the woods with a bag of empty, or a trash bag full of empty beer cans.
Yeah.
Metal mags, they make a lot of noise. That's one of the reasons I like these.
Yeah.
But I like the metal feed lips.
If I had to pick one, it'd probably be a Lancer mag, just because of the metal feed lips. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. Yep. A polymer mag with an aluminum or with a metal feed lips on, or metal top. Yeah. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. I have no issues running metal mags, but if I had to pick one of P mags or metal mags, I'd say P mags. Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, 1 or 2 point sling. I just put this back on because I saw that question. So this is a 2 point sling, which is not clipped on right, by McLean Corp. I've been running this one for a little bit on this particular one just to try it out. I like the idea and the concept of it, but a lot of people don't like it because there's so much extra stuff here. I think it's a little easier to if you need to toss this over your back than it is with a single point, But I run single points on almost everything else. I'm just playing with this one to see. I do like the way that you can draw this thing up and suck. If this weapon's slung, you can draw it up tight, real tight to your body pretty quickly, just by pulling the strap. And now it's kind of out of the way.
Yeah.
But if I need to, I can run it right back out. So it's got an interesting loop design up here. The guy that designed this is on SEAL Team 8. He's currently active and deployed. And this is his design. I thought if it was cool enough for him to run it, then I was going to give it a shot. And so far I like it. I do need to work with a little bit more on the range, and I have a course coming up on the 19th I'm taking where I'll run this system.
I only run 2 point slings. For me, I run the Viking Tactics padded sling. I just like the little bit of extra padding that it has on it. I run 2 point slings on everything. The only thing that I might run a 1 point sling on every now and then would be like a small gun like this, just because it's going to sit. I'm just not a huge fan of a 1 point sling. Usually your rifle's dangling and hitting you in your gonads.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just
flop around if you're.
Yeah. I'd rather just have a 2 point sling. But that's me. Buckeye wants to know, what do you think about a Ruger AR556? I think they're a fantastic rifle. We sell them on BDU for mid 600s of price, and it's a fantastic option. So yeah, I love a Ruger AR556, and they've been quality for a long time. So Prepper J wants to know 556 or 223.
556.
223 Wild. It'll run both of them.
Well, 556 will run both of them.
Yeah. So. Yeah, 223 Wild or a 556.
It's harder to find a 223 Wild though, but you can find almost everything chambered in 556.
Yeah.
Which will shoot 223.
So, all right, best scope magnification for hitting 200 yards. All right, Trucker, you got to help me out here. Hitting a silhouette or hitting a
groundhog.
200 yards can easily be done with just a red dot.
Yeah, you can shoot it with a red dot. This ACOG will do 200 yards all day long.
But I would just say something like a 1 to 4, 1 to 6 would be a really, really good option for that. But it all just depends on are we trying to hit quarters at 200 yards, a head at 200 yards, or a silhouette at 200 yards? Yeah. But I mean 200 yards, just a tiny bit of magnification really helps, especially with positive identification. Yeah. That's something that, yes, just because I can hit it, because I have with like a red dot, it doesn't mean that I can give clear, facial difference if somebody is at 200 yards.
That's why I got a Bushmaster at home that has an EOTech on it and the magnifier, the 3.5 I think it is. Yeah. And that 3.5 makes such a big difference when you roll that thing over, so it doesn't take a lot. That'd be more than enough magnification for that distance.
All right. New York Defiant wants to know if you plan to buy your first AR, what do you recommend as a starter? We covered this a little bit earlier, but
fully assembled, I would for your very first.
Yes,
one.
fully assembled all the way.
Yeah.
Don't build it if it's your first AR. You know, we kind of ran through the list multiple times. Get anything Surefire, Ruger, or Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Radical Firearms. Allie's going to post a lot more in the comments.
Spikes, whatever you find.
All right, Truth Seeker wants to know, is 22 conversion kit for an AR-15 the best option for SHTF since ammo is more available?
Those things are iffy. Some of them are great.
The CMMG isn't bad.
Some of them are crap.
So, you know, it all depends. It all depends on what you want to do with it. You know, if we're talking being able to carry more ammo, yes and no, because most of the conversion mags don't hold a lot of ammo in them. They're usually like 15, 20 rounds. So it's not like you're going to expand your capacity. As far as a self-defense round, yes, a 223 will kill a person. Yes, I'm not one of those.
22.
I'm sorry, a 22. But I would rather have a 223.
Yeah.
I mean, plain and simple. We don't send our troops to war with 22 rifles.
I mean, yeah, and if anything, I mean, go buy a Ruger 1022. You know,
Ruger 1022.
I mean, have 2 rifles.
Yeah, but the other thing too is you will see some issues. 22 conversion kits, 22 ammo is extremely dirty. It can just ammo is not made to the quality as regular like centerfire ammunition. So you know, if you're talking like I got a really nice rifle, I want to put a 22 conversion kit in it. It can.
You're gonna muck it up.
Yeah, you can. You know, and it's one of those things where. Oh, talk for a second. My battery went dead.
Okay, yeah, his mic died, but yeah, you know, running the conversion kit in them, they work. They're not the greatest thing in the world too. And you got to remember, if you throw that thing in your rifle, the weapon's not sighted for that either. So you're gonna have to try to re-sight and everything. If you're running an optic, you might be able to back things off and bring them back up if you switch ammo. But for me personally, I'd rather have a dedicated 22 platform, which is going to shoot better anyway. Yeah, I know it means carry another rifle. You know, with the conversion, you could probably stick it in your backpack. If that's your plan, you know, you can stick one in your backpack. That's fine. It's not going to be that big a deal. And if you come across ammo, great. The next question is.
Yeah, and 22 conversion kits are a lot less
reliable.
A lot less reliable for the most part.
And so Skittles is asking, any ammo for AR-15 that will go through less walls? I want to defend myself if necessary, but not shoot the neighbors. So yeah, what he wants to know is there something frangible?
Yeah, you know, any frangible ammunition.
Yeah. Any of the manufacturers that make the frangible stuff won't shoot to the walls.
Yeah. Also, you know, a lot of the more self-defense ammo is going to be a lot less likely to go through because they're made to impact and bloom, where a lot of like 5.56, a lot of 55 grain ammo, the bullet actually stays intact, and that's usually what gets penetration. You know, and there are thousands and thousands of videos and surveys and everything, you know, experiments done. I mean, you know, there's people that say, you know, 9mm ammo goes just as far through drywall. Slugs go through, you know, buckshot. I mean, buckshot will go through a drywall all day long also. So, you know, it's one of those things where you have to know what's beyond your target. That's really the first thing before you take that shot. Well, you have to know where your placement's going to be. You have to know where other people are going to be.
Well, I was going to say too, and you don't get to pick the spot necessarily.
No.
So shot placement counts. So, you know, get on the range and spend some time, because if, like in my house, if someone was to come through my front door and I came out my bedroom, I'm going to be shooting at my daughter's bedroom.
Right.
And I know that. So making sure that you can put your bullets where you mean to put them is number one. And of course, you're going to be under stress and everything else. Well, go to the range and practice that. It's not too hard to do to get yourself, you know, under a little bit of pressure, you know. Do the whole jumping jacks, run in circles, get on the ground, get up, do all that stuff, and then grab your gun and try to shoot the targets you need to hit. And then try it in low light, you know. But shot placement, number one, especially for self-defense in your own home or anywhere. You don't want to be shooting other people. You know, make sure you can run the gun.
Yeah.
Number one.
TJ wants to know thoughts on the Springfield St. Victor. I've heard really good things about it. We've sold quite a few at our gun shop. You know, Allie's going to leave a link below. They're like mid 800s, but they work really, really well. Owen wants to know, anybody know of any good New York compliant parts? Also, a place that sells compliant full AR rifles.
For New York. Their laws are so weird now. I don't even know what the law is.
Allie, we sell. I mean, I know we sell to New York through BDU. I mean, it's all just finding rifles. I know you can buy rifles. Don't have them send the mags with it. You know. Right. And it all depends. It also depends on if you have FFLs that are willing to accept transfers, because I know not a lot of them in New York will, or I think there's even like what counties you live in New York. So, you know, take a lot of things into consideration. Like I know like Fight Light, I'm pretty sure that their rifles are New York compliant, the ones that have the stock on it. It looks like a rifle that takes an AR mag. Fight Light, you know, look at companies like that. And you should be good to go. So, all right, what else do we want to talk about?
I think we've about covered it all. Mags, ammos, calibers, kinds of optics.
You want to talk to triggers?
Triggers, yeah.
All right.
You can do
what
triggers.
kind of trigger do you like?
Well, I've got Gaisleys. I've got just to drop in. I just forgot the name of it in this one. I like my trigger to be. I like an adjustable trigger.
Yeah.
That way, you know, depending on the platform, I can tweak them. This one here is set to right at about a little over 3.5 pounds, right at 3.5 pounds. And that's, for me, perfect. You know, a lot of people don't understand, too. Learn to reset your trigger and to control the trigger reset on your rifle. It'll make your shooting a lot better. But I always like to have adjustables and drop-ins. You know, that way if you want to change something, super easy. Yeah. Take them out, put them in. So.
Yeah, I mean, I like a Geisley SSAE.
Yeah, I got one in the safe right now.
AR gold triggers are really, really good as well. That's what I run in. Pretty much everything you see here is one of those two triggers. Trigger Tech, I got a Trigger Tech in this F4 Defense that's working really well. The ALG triggers are a fantastic like mil-spec trigger, but you know, it's been polished a little bit, and they feel fantastic for as far as what you get for the money that you spend. It's a fantastic trigger, like an ALG. If you're on a budget but you want something a little bit better, I'd go with that. Yeah. So.
Truth Seeker's asking, what's your opinion on Spike's tactical lower reliability? I got one right here that I have shot the snot out of. This is a Spike's. There's his logo. This really is a Spike's. This is a Spike's complete, though, upper and lower. I've had zero malfunctions with this weapon that weren't due to.
I don't think I've ever had a single person. We've probably sold 500, if not more, Spike's lower receivers in our gun shop, and I don't think I've ever had a single customer. Allie, you worked in a gun shop for a while. Did a customer ever return a Spikes? Yeah, I don't think so.
I've had zero issues with this thing, and I've shot. And this is my, you know, if I have to grab one rifle and run, this is the rifle I grab, the Spikes. This is the one I'm taking. I've got some other more expensive stuff here and at home, but this is the one that's going with me. So.
All right, for the AR-15 lower, do you guys think it would be like to complete guns with two different uppers? Sorry, we're having a couple issues here.
One being the so in other words, he's saying get a lower with two uppers to have two rifles, basically.
Yeah.
So 1.556 and
300 blackout.
300 blackout, about the only other thing you could do.
Yeah, I mean, you could put a 6.5 Grendel in there. There are some companies that will make magazines, like C Products makes a 7.62 by 39, so you can get a 7.62 by 39 upper. Here's what I'll say. If you're going to play the one lower, two upper games, have two optics, have them both zeroed for each of the weapons. So you can pop the two pens, put another one on. Don't try taking the optic off of the one upper and put it on another upper.
Have it dedicated.
You're going to hate life. So make sure you have two optics, one for each. And I mean, you can go 7.62 by 39, 300 blackout, 6.5 Grendel. I mean, then you can get into some odd caliber, like 22 250 or something like that. So 22 Nosler. But yeah, I would just stick with one of those three. You can take it.
Best, less expensive scope. Mine rides around the ranch a lot. Again, back to
primary arms.
Primary arms, someone like that. You know, if you're looking for quality, it's not terribly expensive. Vortex, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And then ideal AR rifle for minus temperatures. I'm guessing he's talking sub-zeros.
A lot of the times, the only issues you're going to have is what type of grease or oil you run on your bolt carrier group, and if that will freeze.
Yeah.
So usually a lot of the stickage comes from that.
Run dry lithium in them if you're up to cold
yeah.
temperatures. You know, and that's another thing we haven't really talked about too. We talk about triggers and stuff. If you're running one of these rifles, you should have a spare bolt carrier group
Yep.
for it, like in your ruck if you're planning on a bug out sort of thing. You've got your rifle, you should have a spare bolt carrier group in your bag because, you know, these things, as they say, they crap where they eat.
Yep.
They can get really dirty if you're using them a lot, and it's super easy to pop a pin, pull the bolt out, drop it in your backpack, stick a fresh one in, and keep running as opposed to trying to clean that thing up. And that will usually fix any problem you're having malfunction-wise. If you're having a lot of malfunctions out of one, probably because it got real dirty. If you just changed out the entire bolt assembly, it'll go right back to work like it was brand new. So
yeah, and if it's not a full bolt carrier group, I mean, at least just the bolt itself, and you should.
Well, the bolt carrier group's so easy, just drop
exactly.
in. I mean, I carry one in mine, so I make sure I got extras. But.
So, all right, well, we're gone over an hour here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them below. We're going to start wrapping up here in just a second. All right, your thoughts. If you have to have just one gun, are you going with your 10.5?
Yeah, this is the one I'm going to take.
Yeah.
Because of what I would need to do with it, this will do what I need to do. You know, if I'm in a structure, this is better than this, you know, lengthwise. It doesn't look like much, but you try getting and maneuvering this in a car as opposed to maneuvering this in a car. And a lot of people haven't done that, so they truly don't understand how difficult that is. And you know, especially when you're swinging this thing around inside a vehicle and firing it, and somebody else is in there doing the same thing, and you're both in there shooting at the same time, or you're trying to clear a building, clear a room, or if I'm in the woods. I mean, really, how long are these engagements going to be? You know, they're not going to be that far. We're going to be pretty tight to one another. So, like I said, this is my grab and go to war gun. The only thing I wish maybe I had on here is maybe I wish I had my EOTech and a magnifier. Maybe. Be about the only. That would make it to me perfect then.
Right.
But you know.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I mean, and as you can see, we love our ARs.
We do.
And you know, and I think it's one of those things where every household should have ARs.
In every corner, personally. So I think.
Yeah.
That's what it's like at my house.
But also, you know, make sure that if you have optics on it, make sure they're zeroed. Make sure that those guns are ready to rock and roll. In case something were to happen.
Make sure if you're running stuff like, you know, these little T1s, T2s, whatever, any variety of, that you keep the little 2032 batteries around.
Batteries.
Keep lots of those things on hand. That's the only downside of these is the battery. But like John said, keep them zeroed. Make sure they're zeroed. And when you buy one of these rifles, before you go out and buy you a new rifle and you slap on a new optic, like this is a Shepherd. This is a really, actually really nice, but this is higher end class. Before you put this thing on here, you need to zero your irons. Zero these first because you may need to use them. Then put your optic on and zero the optic. And check it periodically, make sure it stays zeroed. But if you have one of these, you should be shooting it enough that you'll know it's zeroed.
What zero do you usually go with?
I'm doing mine now at 37 yards.
Oh, you're a 36, 37 guy?
Because why? Because it's the same at 300.
Yeah.
So on a 16-inch barrel with 55 grain ammo. So yeah, I'm zeroing these at 37 yards.
Okay.
Because what that does for you is it's the same point of aim from muzzle to 300 yards, and you're hitting in a block about like that high.
Yeah.
So that's a 37-yard zero. That's what it does for you.
Yeah. I go with a 50. That's just kind of what I've always ran. I know what my holdovers are and offsets are.
Don't need to worry about holdover
at different distances. So yeah, I think that'll do it. But if you guys got any other questions with regards to ARs, platforms, anything like that, feel free to leave them below. We'll be around the next couple of days to make sure they're answered. We appreciate all you guys watching all over the world. And until next time, be safe. Guys, John Faulkner with Survival Dispatch here today to talk about a brand new product that we've put together. We call it the Survival Dispatch Essentials Guide. The Essentials Guide is for those looking to get into prepping and just kind of unsure of where to start. It's packed with over 225 pages of survival and prepping information on categories such as food, water, shelter, bug out bags, get home bags, you name it, it's in there. We packed it with as much information from 17 different writers as we could possibly fit. All of it is laid out in a beautiful magazine editorial format, so you have great pictures that also show you exactly what you're looking at. We put it together as a starting basis for people to read and build upon. It's packed with tons of information that are there to help people along the journey of becoming a prepared individual. Click the link and get started today.